Dorfman, the founder of the LEAP Foundation, and we are excited about our 10th annual LEAP program, which will be July 23rd to the 29th this summer. And in preparation for that, we're bringing you guys amazing mentor interviews every week. It will be the same time, same place, Wednesday morning, 11:30 California time. If you're not watching us live, you're welcome to watch us later. And we're really excited about a surprise guest. Jared just happened to be in town. He was filming, or actually recording Business Rockstars yesterday with our good friend and supporter, Mark Lack. And Mark asked him if he'd show up, and he said he would. So let me give you a quick
And I actually did.
And he did, and on time. So let me tell you who we have sitting here with us, because he's pretty amazing. Jared Kleinert is an entrepreneur, a TED Talk keynote speaker, an award-winning author who's been named by USA Today's Most Connected, was named by USA Today as the Most Connected Millennial after he did his first book, which was called 2 Billion Under 20. He was voted the #1 entrepreneurship book of 2015. He's become a go-to marketing and business development consultant for venture-backed startups, Fortune 500 companies, New York Times bestselling authors, and many others. He's now in the process of doing his second book, which is going to be
3 billion under 30.
and I think the third book will be 4 billion under 5. I don't
Maybe.
know. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the book first.
Sure.
When is this book launching? The next one?
So January 17th, 2017, hopefully not 2020. January 17th is when the book comes out. So we're getting kind of close, and now everything's ramping up. That's why Business Rockstars was on my list, and this visit is important. I think we'll have like a gift for everyone at the end, if you still want to do that.
No, the gift is going to be good, so stay tuned in. But I want you to explain what it is, because when I first heard the title, I thought, oh my gosh, this guy made $2 billion before he was 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what the book is all about at all, right?
You speak to a lot of students. Actually, I was speaking maybe a year and a half ago to about 100 Japanese students. And so we had a student translator, not even a professional translator, going back and forth between the panel of people that I was included on and the students. And when I was mentioning the title of the first book, there was like a whole 5-second delay of just jaws that were dropped between saying the title of the book and explaining what it was, because all these Japanese kids thought I was a billionaire
right.
in front of them. But 2 billion under 20 stands for the fact that there's 2 billion people in the world at or under 20 years old, and 3 billion under 30, similar thing, about 3 billion people in the world at or under 30.
Right.
So in terms of millennials and even Gen Zers, there's just a lot of us, which
Right.
is the point. And each book brings together stories from leading people of that generation in order to act as peer mentors of sorts to the rest of the world.
So basically the collection is of about 75, 76 different millennials that have varying degrees of success, but all something really noteworthy. And you put them all in this book so that people can learn from their mistakes and what they did right and what they did wrong in order to help themselves.
Yeah,
and I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. And then there's stories ranging from like the founder of WordPress, and WordPress now powers 26% of all websites on the internet. We have the 2-time defending fittest woman in the world, so an Icelandic girl who has won the CrossFit Games 2 different years. We have...
Can I be the fittest guy?
You can try. Some of those CrossFit champions on the men's side are crazy. Those people train in insane fashion year-round for years at a time. But then we have like social media influencers like Jake Paul and Honduras, which a lot of students will probably know those names. And just all over the world we have different people coming in, even like Syrian war refugees and people who grew up in Gaza and saw the disastrous conditions there and then have raised millions of dollars to help those people. Just really inspiring individuals.
And I think the thing that's really unique about your message, I watched your TED Talk, is that you actually view the millennial generation in a completely different way than other people out there. I think it'd be interesting for you to explain how you kind of view them as a group of people supporting each other instead of competing against each other. And that's pretty much the basis of the book, is how we can all
Yeah.
support each other, right?
I think it's inevitable. We have, as a generation, these challenges that are increasing faster than ever before, whether it's global warming, whether it's lack of clean water supply, or whether it's any sort of industry-specific problem. A lot of these problems become increasingly harder to solve, and so we need a multidisciplinary approach to problem solving. Like, collaboration is rewarded now, not looked down upon as we have Gen Xers and Boomers that grew up in a place where they had to compete for resources. Now it's let's all work together to save the resources we have and make the best use of them, or we won't have any resources at all.
Yeah, I mean, it just facilitates things and makes things move faster and faster.
Yeah, and on a more day-to-day front, because that's a very 10-year out, 20-year out thing to say as far as like solving problems that could threat our existence. On a day-to-day basis, if you're in the job market, you're incentivized to collaborate potentially by becoming a freelancer and then working for multiple companies rather than just having to work for one. If you're someone like me, I've benefited from curating different stories rather than just sharing my own. So there's all these different, if you're building a curriculum for yourself, not only can you go through a college curriculum, but then you can piece together the best practices from other places and watch interviews like this. So even your own self-education can be a collaborative effort.
Absolutely. I think we're getting some questions in, and Charlie's writing one right now. So
I was just at Conan last night, and they had like the whole cue cards behind the camera, so it was like pretty interesting to see.
yeah. What's been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in your career personally?
Yeah, I haven't had crazy challenges to overcome. The biggest one was when I started my first business at 15. I failed miserably, made every single mistake you can think of. The worst was that my first business mentor was a guy who had served time in prison for securities fraud on Wall Street.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I only knew this about 6 months into hanging out with him on a daily basis.
All right, so lesson number one, do a background check on anybody.
Google
you go
your
into
potential
business.
mentors.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, even when new
His
patients...
mugshot comes up if you
Right.
Google him. It's,
Well, let me tell you something. Even when new patients come into my office, the first thing we do is we Google them, because
Yeah.
you don't know who's coming in. You
so
know?
make sure you're easily Googleable in a positive way as well. But
Absolutely.
no, the that I guess how did I respond to that? I dumped him as a mentor, and instead used the experience to figure out how can I spend time with high integrity, high subject matter expertise mentors. And so a few months went by. I read an article about one specific individual who I deemed mentor worthy. And someone who I really wanted to emulate, and I actually just reached out and offered to work unpaid in exchange for his mentorship, and that propelled the rest of my career. So,
And that was a friend of ours.
David Hassel.
Oh, no.
Keith Ferrazzi comes
Keith
later.
Ferrazzi, yes.
Also via cold email, but you can see the trend. Once I had that negative experience and that negative challenge, you could say, and let that propel me into learning how to reach out to more positive mentors, like a Keith Ferrazzi, like David Hassel, who was my first, positive business mentor,
Right.
etc.
But there's a really great takeaway here, too, in that, today you have resources at your fingertips that my generation never had. If you go into a job interview, Google the people that are interviewing you. Google the company. Know what you're doing. I mean, there's nothing worse. If you sit there in an interview and you don't know the facts about the company, you're not going to get the job.
It also helps you write cold emails that don't suck. Like, if you're going to reach out to someone and ask for an internship or ask for help or provide value, you can do a lot of the hard work before you even make the initial outreach. And so I did that with David. I learned about his company, learned what he needed, learned what he didn't. I did that with Keith. I'm like, oh, I see you have another book coming out, or an extended version of your first book coming out. Here's how I can help you with that. Here's the relevant experience I've had in the past that could be of interest to you. It's doing homework, whether you're in school or not. Never goes away.
We have another question. How do you respond to negative comments about millennials?
I don't anymore. That's kind of how I face it. Coming out of the first book, 2 Billion Under 20, the big question that I look back on, and it was the subject of the TED Talk I gave, was why do young people hold more power than ever before? And you can watch the TED Talk, maybe we'll share a link to it, but even after I gave more and more talks after that one to senior vice presidents of these Fortune 500 companies and went 45 minutes in depth about the research that we had, I would get these silly questions about, oh, like my millennial at home doesn't do the dishes, and how do I get him or her to do the dishes? Or my millennial employees won't stay at the company for more than 2 years. And those are just complaints that don't help anyone, especially after not listening for 45 minutes. So I would try to answer those negative comments, but I think it comes back to collaboration. It's, how can we have a more emotionally intelligent conversation with across generations? If you're a millennial, how can you be more emotionally intelligent about the strengths of Gen Xers and Boomers, and vice versa? If you're an older member of society, how do you become more emotionally intelligent to the needs and experiences of millennials and Gen Zers? And so I guess the way I respond now is I just don't, and I've made my research more age agnostic and industry agnostic so that it can be picked up by more people and used by more organizations. So
when you talk about research, what exactly are you doing?
Yes, so I've done a lot of qualitative research in the sense of just curating all these individuals and learning about their journeys. I really do want to go to the quantitative side at some point and get some PhDs to help me kind of look through trends and research. That's kind of the next step. But yeah, right now it's my research has been studying outliers of our generation. I never 2 billion under 20, 3 billion under 30. We never say we're speaking for an entire generation. We're saying here's outliers worth studying because they're so young and have accomplished so much, and let's reverse engineer what they've done so we can all benefit.
Cool. Okay, we got another question. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
It's a good one. So I actually got a small series of tasks or self-research that I was supposed to do when I joined the company that I was originally an unpaid intern for, and then as soon as I got on payroll, my mentor had me go through this quick series of activities. And so it's less advice. Well, it was a good practice to do, and it's an easily doable one at home if you want to start with the basics. Just imagine like 3 circles in a Venn diagram. So you have your passions is one of them, your skill sets is the second, and then the third is like what the market values. And so what you can do at home is figure out what your passions are, start listing them. Most of us would know like 2 or 3 things we're interested in. And if not, then just write out a bunch of stuff that looks cool and start experimenting with all that in very simplistic terms. I can go on for 30 minutes about this. And then with skills, same thing, like list out what you're good at in the second circle. If you don't know what you're good at, you can take tests like the Colby A Index, StrengthsFinders 2.0, pick up a book called Unique Ability, and then you can also ask your friends, families, mentors about what you're good at. And if you're really bold, you can ask like what you're bad at and get kind of that answers back. And then the market values, so you can look at like what jobs are available or what skill sets in the marketplace are being heavily favored. And so in the middle of that, you can piece together what I call this zone of genius, and that, like, learning about your zone of genius is the biggest piece of advice I've ever gotten. Like, going through that process has really helped me become conscious of what I do and what I bring to the table in terms of value.
And what did you find?
My zone of genius is bringing together different people and ideas to accomplish bigger things for society. So once I articulated that, I could, leverage that in terms of making things like the book series that bring together all these disparate people and ideas. I know I'm a connector in the marketplace, so if for my consulting clients, I know I can give them access to these certain individuals who can help their business, on and on. Even as I'm meeting new people, I'm immediately thinking, oh, how can I connect you to this person, this person? Mark does the same thing. We were in the interview yesterday. He's like, right. Oh, how could I connect you to Bill and like all these other people who you guys can have mutual exchanges from? He has a similar zone of genius. But you don't have to have the connector zone of genius. You can have your own zone of genius.
Right. Cool. We got another question here. What's the best way to gain mentors as a young person?
So let's look at the definition of mentorship first. I think there's multiple types of mentors. You can have a very formal mentor, or someone like you meet with like once a quarter or once a year even. You can have very informal mentors, which are more call when you need or email when you need. You can have peer mentors, and you should have peer mentors, people that you associate with and talk to on a pretty regular basis, or even just fill your news feed with on Facebook, who are doing exceptional things and can lead you in the right direction. And then you can have virtual mentors, so you can have people that are inaccessible to you right now. Like for me, it's probably like a Tim Ferriss, although I have multiple mutual connections to Tim. I'm not the type of person to ask for those connections unless I really need it. Right. But like I can learn 99.9% of what Tim has to say and teach me through all of his books and through his podcasts and all that. So he's like a virtual mentor to me. And so I figure out like what types of mentors you need in your life and for what skill sets you need or what experiences you want to pick up. And then in order to reach out to them, I think for the more formal mentorship experiences, working for a mentor has been the biggest thing for me. You know, I worked for David Haskell at 15.5 when I offered to work unpaid in exchange for his mentorship. With Keith Ferrazzi, who became a mentor, I worked for free for a month and then turned him into one of my first clients. So that was a working arrangement. And then some of them have been accidental, and I've just met people along the way that I really wanted to learn more from. Some of them I sent cold emails that didn't suck and told them exactly what I could give of value. And yeah, I just have a ton of peer mentors as well. That's the biggest thing for me is I have hundreds of individuals in my network who either by telling me directly or indirectly doing their own thing and letting me learn from it teach me every single day. So that's the biggest thing.
And I think, thank you for that. I think one of the things that we really try to stress at LEAP is to just ask. It's one of the most powerful words in the English language, and we don't do it. And if you know of somebody that that you would like to have as a mentor, write them a nice letter and ask them. And like you did, can I come and work for you for a month or a week, or can I even just observe you for a day and shadow you? I have hundreds of dental students that shadow me every year and just come in and watch us work and see what we do. And I think that's such a powerful way, because it expedites the whole learning process.
Yeah, why repeat the same mistakes you have?
Yeah, we say copy genius, find genius and copy it. Talk more about
cold emails that don't suck.
Cold emails that don't suck. And number
more
one,
email than I do.
Don't write 15 pages. Because I get these emails where people, especially when I'm doing like makeovers for TV, and people want to tell me like, look, this is why I need a makeover. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. But I mean, if you send me 15 pages, that's a big time. You're asking me to sit there for an hour and read this. So I would be short, sweet, to the point, respectful. Know what their business is. Know what you're asking for. And that doesn't suck.
And,
I don't know.
Yeah, in addition to that, I would make sure your subject line is either very specific, number one, or number two, is very captivating. So I use ellipses, like ... in a lot of my emails, or I'll use their name and then ask them like an open-ended question that forces them to open it. I have software that tracks whether people open or don't open my emails, so I can follow up on that if they don't. My favorite one is Mixmax. That's the one I've been using. I use a lot of them, but then, yeah, do your homework to keep your message short, lead with the value you can provide, and then have a clear call to action, like 15 minutes on a phone, and list 2 or 3 times at work, as well as a number. Make it super easy for them to do something. That's the basis of a cold email that doesn't suck.
I agree.
The best cold email that doesn't suck is to get a warm intro, which is to find a mutual friend to connect you guys.
And one of the things that we do at LEAP is we have a mentor workshop. So we finished the week with an amazing workshop where you actually get an opportunity to speak to I think 4 to 6 mentors. And every 30 minutes we rotate. We bring in doctors and lawyers and screenwriters and scientists and all kinds of different people where you can just really sit there and ask them questions. What do you like about your job? What don't you like about your job? What were your biggest challenges? But, when young people come to me and say, look, Doc, I really don't know what I want to do in life, my best advice to them is find mentors just like you did. Go and shadow people. I mean, if you think you want to be an ophthalmologist, shadow an ophthalmologist. You may not like that at all.
Yeah.
You know.
Do it early on in the process. You know, when you're talking about your zone of genius and figuring out like what you're passionate about, that's what I mean when I say experimenting. Like, go shadow someone around for a week, see if that
I love that.
is even of interest to you before you spend like 8 years studying and hundreds of thousands of dollars in that investment without knowing that you're going to like the return.
Yeah, no, that's great. So we're running out of time. You are going to give them a big surprise at the end, so I think now's the time for the surprise.
So if you just email me and you're a student watching, don't be an adult and do this, please. But if you're a student watching, email me at jaredkleinert@gmail.com, and we'll just give you a free copy of the next book in January. So we don't have it to give you now, but we will put you on a special list and just give you a free copy of the book. So,
and if you have a hard time finding him, just go to our LEAP page at www.leapfoundation.com, and we will forward everything on to him, so you can request it on there. We'll put something up so it'll make it nice and easy and streamless. So just go to www.leapfoundation.com, and we will filter and send it right over to you.
Yeah, and it's I think we're going to give like a free guide or something, like some sort of 10-page thing now, so you don't have to wait, and then you'll get a ton of value providing emails from now until the book comes out. You won't have to buy the book, we'll just give you a book, and then you'll be in our ecosystem for a while. So yeah,
That's awesome.
We're trying to do this to 10,000 students. So actually my request to you is, if you're a student watching this, share this offer with your friends, and as long as they email me directly, we'll have a landing page soon for this publicly. But if if you want to share it and then have them email me saying like, hey, I'm a student, in a short email, please, like, hey, I'm a student, I want the book for free.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah, link me to the page, please. You'll get that free book. So
great. All right, Jared, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And next week, we are going to have an amazing man. One of my best friends, Fred Leeds, will be here. This is a man who owns over 5,000 apartment units in the LA area, has become a world-renowned real estate mogul, and he's going to share some of the secrets of his business. And the following week, we'll have my friend Darian Lowenstein, who I'll tell you about when we have Fred next week.
no
For
big
now,
deal.
over and out.